global democracies are under a cyber attack. Israel's technology firm NSO has been accused of using its cyber spyware Pegasus to surveil journalists globally. Now, the latest findings are a part of a global investigation called the Pegasus Project. Now, Paris-based news organization Forbidden Stories and human rights group Amnesty International, together with 17 news outlets, have accessed a list of 50,000 smartphone numbers. Now, the reports say that the data belongs to people of interest identified by NSO's clients since 2016. Now, the contacts of activists, journalists, businessmen, executives, and politicians around the world are included in this list. Now, the revelations raise privacy and rights concerns, also revealing the far-reaching extent to which the private Israeli company's software is misused by its international clients. Now, the list was shared with the news organizations. The total number of phones on that list that were actually targeted or surveilled is unknown. Now, the numbers on the list are unattributed. Yet, media outlets participating in the project were able to identify more than 1,000 people in more than 50 countries. The identified list includes several members of the Arab royal families, at least 65 business executives, 85 human rights activists, 189 journalists, and more than 600 politicians and government officials, including heads of state, prime ministers, and cabinet ministers. Now, many numbers on the list were clustered in 10 countries, namely Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Hungary, India, Kazakhstan, Mexico, Morocco, Rwanda, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. Now, among the numbers on the list are those of journalists for Agence France Presse, the Associated Press Reuters, Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, the New York Times, Al Jazeera, France 24, Radio Free Europe, Mediapart, El País, Le Monde, The Economist, and Voice of America. As per reports, nearly 40 Indian journalists, a few union ministers, opposition members, and businessmen were snooped on as well. Now, speaking on which, India's IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav has said that the allegations of illegal surveillance is nothing but sensationalism.
The press reports of 18 July 2021 also appear to be an attempt to malign the Indian democracy and its well-established institutions. Any form of illegal surveillance is not possible with the checks and balances in our laws and robust institutions. In India, there is a well-established procedure through which lawful interception of electronic communication is carried out for the purpose of national security, particularly on the occurrence of any public emergency or in the interest of public safety by agencies at the center in this state. And the time-tested procedures of our country are well established to ensure that unauthorized surveillance cannot occur. Honorable Speaker, sir, when we look at this issue through the prism of logic, it clearly emerges that there is no substance whatsoever behind this sensationalism.
EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen has condemned the spying practices. She said that if the Pegasus spying claims are completely unacceptable, if true.
But if it is the case, it is completely unacceptable and against any kind of rules. We have in the European Union what the freedom of media is concerned. Free press is one of the core values of the European Union. It is completely unacceptable if this would be the case.
The NSO has also issued a denial threatening a defamation lawsuit. NSO has called the report full of wrong assumptions and uncorroborated theories, further clarifying that, quote, NSO sells its technology solely to law enforcement and intelligence agencies of vetted governments for the sole purpose of saving lives through preventing crime and terror acts, unquote. Israel's NSO group and its Pegasus malware have been in the news since at least 2016, when researchers accused it of helping to spy on a dissident in the United Arab Emirates. Founded in 2010, the Tel Aviv-based group employs hundreds of people in Israel and around the world. NSO's spyware, called Pegasus, enables the remote surveillance of smartphones. Pegasus is reportedly a highly invasive tool that can switch on a target's phone camera and microphone, as well as access data on the device, effectively turning the phone into a pocket spy. In some cases, it can be installed without the need to trick a user into initiating a download. Now, our principal diplomatic correspondent, Sudan Sybil, is joining us live with more details on this. Good evening to you, Sudan. Now, take us through the details of this hacking scandal that NSO has been accused of with its spyware Pegasus. It's not just to surveil journalists, but some of the most prominent figures globally. And just how serious is this for the idea of privacy as a whole and further?
Well, Alison, it's a full-blown political crisis, a political scandal that has erupted just on the first day of the monsoon session of the Indian Parliament. The session started today, but of course, we know that multiple adjournments have happened because the opposition is demanding answer of the use of this particular software, which is produced by an Israeli company, by the Indian government. There is no direct proof or any evidence other than circumstantial evidence that proves that the Indian government might or might not have used the software. But of course, the Indian IT minister spoke inside the parliament and raised questions like why this has happened at a time when, of course, the parliament was meeting. And this, of course, is a trouble for the government, of course, because we know that the opposition is demanding answers. We know that the story broke yesterday evening here, India time, Sunday evening. And since then, more names have come out. In fact, just last 1 hour, the name of the chief of the Congress party here in India, Rahul Gandhi, has also emerged that he was also targeted. In fact, we have spoken to the NSO as well, the Israeli company, which of course on expected line denied the entire involvement. In fact, NSO is saying that their technology is used for counter-terrorism, for crimes, but as any technology is, it has its own dual uses. It could be, of course, used to snoop in as well. And just not here that the scandal has broken. Multiple countries, as you pointed out, have been named in the entire scandal. The big question is what next, and the proof. Will the Indian government come out with a proof that it never used the software? The Indian IT minister has said that no wrongdoing has been done by the Indian government. But many people here in India won't buy that because this is something that has taken a serious turn. But one thing I can tell you that this list which is coming out is not a new list. It was in 2019 when the number of people who use WhatsApp and the software was used to attack them. They were told about that they could be potential target. But this time what has happened that the list of the entire people has been leaked by someone, perhaps any of the parties which have leaked it for their own perhaps purposes to these media organizations. And of course, when the names are out, it is a full-blown ruckus, it's a full-blown scandal, and the names are out of the journalists, of the political leadership, of the court, the judges of the courts as well.
Sudan, thank you very much for bringing us all those latest details there, and you'll of course be tracking that story closely for us.
WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.